Good morning, students. Yes, say your prayer. Thank you. நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். நான் ஒரு நல்லாசிரியர். நான் உங்களுக்கு தாயாகவும் தந்தையாகவும் இருந்து முறையாக அன்போடு கல்வியை போதிப்பேன். Okay, students, take your social science book and take page number 115. So the last unit in history, social transformation in Tamil Nadu. So in 9th unit we have discussed about the freedom movement in Tamil Nadu. So in 19th century and 20th century, so how the freedom movement took place in Tamil Nadu. So some of the important events in Tamil Nadu we have discussed. So in 10th unit we will discuss about how Tamil Nadu socially transformed into a well developed state. So in 5th unit in history we discussed about some of the reform movements all over India. But in this unit we will discuss how Tamil Nadu became a socially transformed society. So some of the important social reformers. So first we will learn about Tamil Renaissance and also the rise of the Dravidian movement. Dravidian movement. So they were responsible for the transformation of Tamil society. Then we will discuss about self-respect movement. So it was started by Periyar EVR. Then South Indian Liberal Federation. So the Justice Party. So the first political party to establish power. To establish power in Madras province in Tamil Nadu. So in India. Then we will discuss some of the important persons, so social reformers from Tamil Nadu, so like Periyar, Rattamilli Srinivasan, then MC Raja. Then we will discuss about labor movements in Tamil Nadu, then language agitation before Indian independence. So already we have discussed about Tamil agitation, so language agitation. So when Rajaji tried to impose Hindi as a compulsory subject, so Periyar organized a agitation against the Rajaji government in Salem. So can you remember that? We will discuss about the language agitation before independence in Tamil Nadu. Then finally about women's movement. So the last unit in history. Already we have completed geography, civics and economics. So last unit in history. So learning objectives. So what are we going to learn from this unit? So to acquaint ourselves with, to acquire knowledge about the social transformation of modern Tamil Nadu. So to get knowledge, so to become familiar about the social transformation of modern Tamil Nadu. So in India, when compared to other states, so Tamil Nadu is well developed. So in case of society, it is well developed. Then to know the different social reform movement in Tamil Nadu. So to know the different social reform movement in Tamil Nadu, then to understand the ideas of the social reformers. So what were the ideas of the social reformers? So if you take Tamil Nadu, so it is the leading state in India. So even if you take the struggle against colonialism, so we people, so Tamil people only started first. So Palakkad revolt, Pulithevar, so like that. Then if you take social transformation, so Tamil Nadu also leads first when compared to other states. We will discuss about that in this unit. So introduction. So Europeans, so they established their political power over Indian subcontinent in the latter half of 18th century. So 18th century. So after 1715, so after 1757 onwards, so they began to establish their political power over Indian subcontinent. So particularly the British. So while they were concerned with annexing India, by the beginning of the 19th century, they were reordering the Indian society. So by the beginning of 19th century, so almost so the major part of India was under the control of British. So after taking control, so they began to reorder. They began to change the Indian society. So they introduced a new revenue collecting method. So like permanent revenue settlement, so Jamindari system, so like that. They introduced a new revenue settlements. Then influenced by the British utilitarian ideas. So utilitarian means so designed to be useful and practical rather than attractive. So utilitarian ideas means so the basic ideas. So the practical ideas. So attracted by the basic British ideas and evangelical. So evangelical means so they want very much to be persuade people to accept your views and opinions. So they want the people to accept their views and opinions. So influenced by the British practical ideas. So and the wanted to impose their culture over the Indian people. Yeah, so the British people, so the British, yeah, so they follow some practical ideas only. Yeah, so they won't believe some unwanted beliefs. Yeah, so the superior belief. Yeah, so they wanted to impose their cultural superiority over the Indian people. So Europeans so established their political power over Indian subcontinent in the latter half of 18th century. Yeah, so while establishing their power, they began to reorder the Indian society in the 19th century. So they introduced new revenue settlements. So influenced by the British practical ideas, utilitarian ideas, and evangelicals, so they also tried to impose their culture superiority over the Indian people. So the British people so wanted to, so they tried to impose their culture so over the Indian people. So this caused a reaction among the Indians. So when the British so tried to impose their cultural superiority over the Indian people, so this caused a reaction among the Indians. So during the 19th century, the educated Indians from different parts of the country began to feel the humiliation. So humiliation means, so they feel ashamed. So they feel ashamed or stupid. So they feel about their country was stupid. So their culture was stupid, and responded by seeking. So responded by expecting their socio-cultural identity from their past. So during 19th century, educated Indians from different parts of the country began to feel the humiliation. So they feel, so some of the unwanted belief in their culture, in their socio-culture was lagging. So make the country to lag behind many developed countries. So however, they also understood some merits in the colonial arguments and were ready to reform. So when the British wanted to impose their cultural superiority over the Indian people, so there was some reaction among the Indians, especially among the educated Indians. So they began to feel the humiliation, and they responded by seeking their socio-cultural identity from their past. But they understood there is some advantage, some merits in the colonial power. And they were ready to reform. It resulted in the social and religious reform movement in modern India. It resulted in the social and religious reform movement in the modern India. So this particular historical development is identified as the Indian Renaissance. So the particular, so this development, so the establishment of social and religious reform movement in India is identified as Indian Renaissance. So Renaissance means, situation when there is a new interest in a particular subject, a form of art, etc., after a period when it was not popular. So Renaissance means a situation when there is a new interest in a particular subject. So after a long gap. So Renaissance in Tamil we can say Maru Malarchi. Okay, so Renaissance, it is an ideological and cultural phenomenon. So Renaissance, it is an ideological. It is based on an idea, and it is a cultural phenomenon. It is closely tied to modernity, rationalism. Rationalism, the belief that all behavior, opinions, etc. should be based on reason rather than on emotion or religious belief. So rationalism means the belief that all behavior, opinion, etc. should be based on reason, so not on emotion or religious belief. So Renaissance is closely tied to modernity, rationalism, and the progressive movement of the society. So and the forward movement of the society. So critical thinking is at its root. So you have to think critically. You have to examine everything. You have to ask questions. So the ideology of humanism stimulated the creative energy in all spheres of social life, and knowledge such as language, literature, philosophy, music, painting, architecture, etc. So Renaissance, an ideological and cultural phenomenon, and it is closely tied to modernity, rationalism, and the progressive movement of the society. So critical thinking is at its root. So this ideology of humanism stimulated creative energy in all spheres of social life, and knowledge, so such as language, literature, philosophy, music, painting, architecture, etc. So first, Tamil Renaissance. So the cultural hegemony. So hegemony, so controlled by one country or organization over other country. So within a particular group. So the cultural hegemony of colonialism. That means, so the colonial power, so wanted to establish there, wanted to impose their culture. So the cultural hegemony of colonialism and the rise of humanism brought several changes in the socio-cultural life of the Indian subcontinent. So the cultural hegemony of the colonialism and the rise of humanism, so it brought lot of changes in the Indian society. So modern Tamil Nadu too experienced such a historical transition. So modern Tamil Nadu, so not only all over India, even in Tamil Nadu, So there we experienced it. So Tamil people experienced a historical transition. So Tamil language and culture played a significant role in their identity construction. So Tamil language and culture played an important role in their identity construction. The introduction of printing press, linguistic research, so language research on Dravidian languages, etc., underpinned the process of Tamil Renaissance. So underpinned means to support or form the basis of an argument. So the introduction of printing press, then linguistic research on Dravidian languages. So these things, so they supported the process of Tamil Renaissance. Although religious literature was taken up predominantly for the publication in the early years, after the advent of printing technology, things began to change gradually. So when printing press was introduced, printing technology was introduced in India, so they gave more importance to publishing the religious literature. But after that, so there are a lot of changes. So works that can be described as secular. So secular means, so they won't support any religion. So they just support the common people. So there is no thing that mentioned about God or some religious belief. So works so that can be described as secular were taken up for publishing. So Tamil Renaissance. So the cultural hegemony of colonialism and the rise of humanism brought a lot of changes in the socio-cultural life of the Indian subcontinent and also in Tamil Nadu. So Tamil language and culture played a significant role in their identity construction. The introduction of printing press, linguistic research on Dravidian languages, so supported the process of Tamil Renaissance. So even though, so when the printing press, so the printing technology was introduced in India, so initially religious literature books was mostly published. But so things began to change gradually. So slowly things began to change. So works which can be described as secular were taken up for publishing. Then advent of the printing technology. Advent, so the coming of an important event, person, invention, etc. So the coming of an important event or a person or an invention, etc. So advent of the printing technology. So the introduction of printing technology. So Tamil was the first non-European language that went into print. So Tamil was the first non-European language. So initially, so the printing press was discovered by Johannes Gutenberg from Germany. So initially they printed only the European languages. But apart from European languages, so the foreign language, if you take any non-European languages, so Tamil was the first non-European language that went into print. So it was a pride for us, no? So as early in 1578, Tamil book, so called as Thambiran Vanakkam, was published from Goa. So the first book, so the first non-European language book so to be published was Thambiran Vanakkam, a Tamil book in the year 1578 from Goa. In 1709, a full-fledged printing press had been established. So Tranquebar. So now it was called as Tarangambadi. So it was published by Zegan Balk. So in 1709, a full-fledged printing press had been established. So thanks to Zegan Balk in Tranquebar. So Tirukkural was one of the earliest Tamil literary texts to be published in the year 1812. So Tirukkural, so one of the earliest Tamil literature book, so which was published in the year 1812. So this led to the resurgence of interest among Tamil scholars in publishing the more ancient Tamil classics around that period. So Tirukkural was the first earliest Tamil literary books to be published in the year 1812. So after that, so there was an interest developed among the Tamil scholars so to publish the more ancient Tamil classics around that period. So from that period onwards, that is after 1812 onwards, so many scholars from Tamil Nadu so published ancient Tamil classic work, so ancient Tamil literary works. Okay? In the 19th century, the Tamil scholars like C.W. Damodaran and U.V. Swaminathan, so in Tamil you have learned about them. So C.W. Damodaran, so C.V. Damodaran and U.V. Swaminathan, so they spent their whole life in the rediscovery of the Tamil classic. So C.W. Damodaran collected and edited different palm leaf manuscripts of the Tamil grammar and literature. So C.W. Damodaran, he collected and edited so different palm leaf manuscript, of the Tamil grammar and literature. His editions included such texts as Tolkappiyam, Veeracholiam, Irayanar Agapporul, Ilakkana Vilakkam, Kalittogai and Cholamani. So C.W. Damodaran edited and published Tolkappiyam, Veeracholyam, Irayanar Agaporul, Ilakana Vilakam, Kalitokai, and Chulamani. U.V. Swaminathan. So he was a student of Meenakshi Sundaranar. So he took efforts to publish the classical text such as Sivaga Sindhamani, Pattupattu, Chilapadigaram, Puranuru, Purapurul Venbamali, Manimegalai, Aingurunuru, and Paditrupattu. So 19th century. So Tamil scholars like C.W. Damodaran, U.V. Swaminathan spent their lifetime in the rediscovery of the Tamil classic. So because of the introduction of Tamil printing press. So Thirukkural is one of the earliest textbook published in 1812. After that, there is a lot of interest among the Tamil scholars, so especially among C.W. Damodaran and U.V. Swaminathan. So they dedicated their whole life. So C.W. Damodaran edited and published the books like Tolkappiyam, Veeracholyam, Irayanar Agaporul, Ilakana Vilakam, Kalitokai, and Chulamani. U.V. Swaminathan. So he published classical text like Sivaga Sindhamani, Pattupattu, Chilapadigaram, Puranuru, Purapurul Venbamali, Manimegalai, Aingurunuru, and Paditrupattu. So because of their efforts only, so we have these books in textbook form. Initially it were in palm leaf. So they were written only in palm leaf. So they were written during ancient period. So they were in ancient form. In ancient form they were written in palm leaf. So they only collected those work and published first. Okay, so because of their effort only, so we have these books. So we have this literature work as a textbook. Okay, so the publication of this ancient literary text created an awareness among the Tamil people about their historical tradition, language, literature, and religion. So the publication of this ancient literary text, so it created an awareness among the Tamil people about their historical tradition, language, and religion. So modern Tamils founded their social and cultural identity on the ancient Tamil classics, collectively called the Sangam literature. So the modern Tamils, some modern Tamil people founded their social and cultural identity on the ancient Tamil classics. So they are together, so they are collectively called as Sangam literature. So you learned about Sangam literature in your Tamil subject, and already in 9th standard. So we have learned about some of the Sangam literature now. So the publication of these ancient literary works created an awareness among the Tamil people, to feel proud, to feel pride about their historical tradition, language, literature, and religion. So modern Tamils founded their social and cultural identity on the ancient Tamil classics, collectively called the Sangam literature. So we discussed till now. We discussed about the Tamil Renaissance. So then advent of the printing technology. So because of the introduction of the printing press and the language research on Dravidian languages, so it supported the process of development in Tamil literature. So the first non-European language that went into print was Tamil. So the first Tamil book published was Thambiran Vanakkam. So in the year 1578. Then in the 19th century, Tamil scholars like C.W. Damodaran and U.V. Swaminathan spent their lifetime in the rediscovery of the Tamil classics. So in 1816, F.W. Ellis, he founded the College of Fort St. George. He formulated the theory that the South Indian languages belonged to a separate family which was unrelated to the Indo-Aryan family of languages. So in the year 1816, F.W. Ellis, who founded the College of Fort St. George, he formulated the theory that the Dravidian languages were separated from the North Indian Aryan languages. So he argued that the South Indian languages belonged to a separate family. So they were together called as Dravidian languages. So they were separate family. So they belong to a separate family, which was not related to the Indo-Aryan family of languages. So Robert Caldwell expanded this argument in a book titled A Comparative Grammar of the Dravidian or South Indian Family Languages in 1856. So Robert Caldwell also supported the theory that is the South Indian languages are separated, so they are not related to the North Indian languages. So by publishing a book titled A Comparative Grammar of the Dravidian or South Indian Family of Languages in 1856, he also established the close affinity between the Dravidian languages. He also established the close affinity among the Dravidian languages. So the close relationship among the Dravidian languages in contrast with the Sanskrit, and also established the antiquity of Tamil. So antiquity means the state of being very old or ancient. So he established the oldness, so the ancientness of the Tamil language. So the Tamil intellectuals, so the persons, so from Tamil language, so those who feel pride about their language and culture, so those who have some special knowledge. So they identified the fundamental, so the basic differences between Tamil, Dravidian and Egalitarian and Sanskrit Aryan Brahmanism. So Tamil, so South Indian languages. So Sanskrit, so the North Indian. So Dravidian, so we people, Tamil people, so the South Indian people were called as Dravidian. Then Aryans, so the North Indian people, so they were called as Aryans. So in history, initially you learned about so the invasion of Aryans. Then Egalitarian. So Egalitarian means so based on or holding the belief that everyone is equal and should have the same rights and opportunities. So in Tamil culture, so all people were treated equally. So and we thought that everyone should be given equal rights and equal opportunity. But if you take the North Indian culture, it is based on Brahmanism. So the Tamil people identified the basic difference between the Tamil, Dravidian and Egalitarian, and also with Sanskrit, Aryan and Brahmanism. They argued that Tamil was a language of the Dravidian people who are non-Brahmin, and the social life was casteless, gender sensitized and egalitarian. So they argued, so the Tamil intellectuals argued that Tamil was a language of Dravidian people, so they were non-Brahmin, and their social life was casteless. But if you take Brahmanism, so their life was based on caste. So already in the Hindu script, so the Brahmins explained that there are 4 types of caste. So Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. So like that. But Tamil people argued that there is no such type of caste difference in Tamil Nadu. So and it is based on gender sensitized and egalitarian. So egalitarian means so their life and belief is based that everyone is equal. So Tamil Renaissance contributed to the origin and the growth of Dravidian consciousness in the Tamil country. So the Tamil Renaissance, it contributed to the growth of Dravidian culture, so Dravidian consciousness in the Tamil country. So these ideas are exemplified in the Tamil invocation song in the play Manonmaniyam, written by B. Sundranar. So these ideas, so the ideas of Tamil Renaissance are exemplified or detailedly explained in the Tamil invocation song. Invocation means so the act of making a particular function start. So the Tamil invocation song in the play. So do you know Tamil invocation song? So in Tamil, so Tamil Thai Valthu. So Neerarum Kadaluduthe. So who wrote that song? Manonmaniyam P. Sundranar. So he wrote a book. So P. Sundranar wrote a book called as Manonmaniyam. So from that play only. So it was a play. So from that play only, so the song, so Tamil invocation song was taken. So these ideas are exemplified in that song. So that's why we are singing so Tamil invocation song. So Tamil Thai Valthu. So before starting any function. Ramalinga Adigal. So how was he popularly called as? Vallalar. He questioned the existing Hindu religious orthodoxy. So Ramalinga Adigal, so he was popularly called as Vallalar. He questioned the existing Hindu religious orthodoxy. Abraham Pandidar gave prominence to Tamil music and published books on the history of Tamil music. So Abraham Pandidar, he gave importance to Tamil music and he published books on the history of Tamil music. So C.W. Damodaran, U.V. Swaminathan, Thiru V. Kalyana Sundaram, Paridimar Kalanyar, Maraimalai Adigal, Subramaniya Bharati, S. Vayyapuri, and the poet Bharathidasan in their own ways and through their writings contributed to the revival of the Tamil literature. So Ramalinga Adigal, popularly known as Vallalar, so questioned the existing Hindu religious orthodoxy. So orthodoxy, so traditional belief or practices of a religion. So Abraham Pandidar, so he gave prominence to the Tamil music and published books on the history of Tamil music. So C.W. Damodaran, U.V. Swaminathan, Thiru V. Kalyana Sundaram, Paridimar Kalanyar, Maraimalai Adigal, Subramaniya Bharati, S. Vayyapuri, and poet Bharathidasan. So they contributed to the revival of Tamil literature in their own ways and also through their writings. So meanwhile, M. Singaravelar, an earlier pioneer in Buddhist revival, promoted communism and socialism to counter the colonial power. So during the colonial British rule. M. Singaravelar. So he was the earliest pioneer in the Buddhist revival. He promoted communism and socialism to counter the colonial power. So he was one of the founder of the Communist Party in India. So Pandit Ayatidasar and Periyar E.V. Ramasamy held high the radical philosophy to defend the rights of the socially underprivileged and marginalized section of the people. So Pandit Ayatidasar and Periyar E.V.R. So they work hard so for the rights of the socially underprivileged. Underprivileged means having less money and fewer opportunities than most people in the society. So Periyar E.V.R. and Pandit Ayatidasar, so they work hard to defend the rights of the socially underprivileged and marginalized section of the society. V.G. Surya Narayana Shastri, Paridimar Kalaignar. So V.G. Surya Narayana Shastri, born near Madurai, was a Tamil professor at Madras Christian College. So V.G. Surya Narayana Shastri, born near Madurai, was a professor of Tamil at the Madras Christian College. He was one of the earliest scholars to identify the influence of Sanskrit on Tamil and adopted a pure Tamil name for himself, Paridimar Kalaignar. So he was one of the earliest scholars to identify the influence of Sanskrit on Tamil. So initially in the beginning of 20th century, so if you study Tamil language means, so there are a lot of Sanskrit words, so which were included in Tamil. So Paridimar Kalaignar, so Surya Narayana Shastri, so one of the earliest scholars to identify the influence of Sanskrit on Tamil, and he adopted a pure Tamil name for himself. So Surya, so that is Paridhi. So Paridhi in Tamil, it was called as sun. So Surya Narayana Shastri, he transformed the Sanskrit name into Paridimar Kalaignar. So he was the first to argue that Tamil is a classical language and demanded that the University of Madras should not call Tamil as a vernacular language. So Paridimar Kalaignar, so he was the first to argue that Tamil is a classical language. So classical language, so the oldest language. And he demanded that the University of Madras should not call Tamil as a vernacular language. Influenced by the Western literary models, he introduced the sonnet form in Tamil. So sonnet form, a poem that has 14 lines, each containing 10 syllables and a fixed pattern of rhyme. So sonnet, a poem that has 14 lines, each containing 10 syllables and a fixed pattern of rhyme. So influenced by the Western literary models. So Paridimar Kalaignar, so introduced the sonnet form in Tamil. He also wrote novels and plays and a number of essays on science. But tragically, sadly, he died at the young age of 33. Just he lived for 33 years only. But within his lifetime, so he argued that so the influence of Sanskrit on Tamil, and he adopted a pure Tamil name, and he also argued that Tamil is a classical language. So just within a short period, so he done a lot of things to our Tamil language. Then Maraimalai Adigal. Maraimalai Adigal is considered the father of Tamil linguistic purism and the founder of Thani Tamil Iyakam, so pure Tamil movement. So Maraimalai Adigal is considered as the father of Tamil linguistic purism. So Maraimalai Adigal, so the father of Tamil linguistic purism and the founder of the Thani Tamil Iyakam, so pure Tamil movement. So he tried to use so full and full, so Tamil only. So he tried to avoid so the non-Tamil languages. So while speaking or while publishing or anything. So try to use so full and full so Tamil language only. But nowadays, so while we are speaking, so we use a lot of so the foreign languages. So like so Hindi, Sanskrit. So they are merged. So they merged with our Tamil language. But Maraimalai Adigal, so try to use so fully so Tamil terms only. He wrote commentaries on the Sangam text, Pattinapalai and Mullai Pattu. As a young man, he worked in a journal, Siddhanta Deepika. Later, he served as a Tamil teacher in the Madras Christian College for many years. He was inclined towards non-Brahmin movement. His teachers, such as P. Sundaranaar and Soma Sundaranayagar, were key influence in his life. So Maraimalai Adigal, so considered as the father of Tamil linguistic purism and the founder of Thani Tamil Iyakam, so pure Tamil movement. So he wrote commentaries, explanations on the Sangam text like Pattinapalai and Mullai Pattu. So as a young man, he worked in a journal, Siddhanta Deepika. Later, he served as a Tamil teacher in the Madras Christian College for many years, and he was attracted towards non-Brahmin movement. His teachers such as P. Sundranar and Soma Sundaranayagar were key influence in his life. Tani Tamil Iyakam, pure Tamil movement. Maraimalai Adigal promoted the use of pure Tamil words and the removal of Sanskrit influence from the Tamil language. So Maraimalai Adigal, he supported the use of pure Tamil words and also the removal of Sanskrit influence from the Tamil language. So the movement, so Tani Tamil Iyakam, so made a great impact on Tamil culture, especially in language and literature. So the movement made a great impact on Tamil culture, especially in language and literature. His daughter, so Maraimalai Adigal's daughter, so Neelambikai, played an important role in its foundation. His daughter, Neelambikai, played an important role in its foundation. He changed his own name, so Vedachalam. So Maraimalai Adigal's own name was Vedachalam, and took on the pure Tamil name of Maraimalai Adigal. So Veda, so Vedam. So in Tamil it was called as Marai. Then Chalam, it means so slave. So Vedachalam, he changed his own name, Vedachalam, to so pure Tamil name, so Maraimalai Adigal. His journal, Jnana Sagaram, was renamed as Arivukadal. He changed his journal, so the Sanskrit name, Jnana Sagaram, to Arivukadal, so pure Tamil name. And his institution, so Samarasa Sammarka Sangam, was rechristened, was renamed as Podu Nilai Kalakam. Neelambikai compiled a dictionary that provided pure Tamil equivalents to Sanskrit words that had crept into Tamil vocabulary. So Neelambikai, his daughter, so he compiled a dictionary, so that provided pure Tamil name for the Sanskrit words. So that had been introduced, that had been added to the Tamil vocabulary. So because of the advent of the printing technology, so there are a lot of changes. So they published a lot of books, so which helped the Tamil people to feel pride about their culture and pastness. So even foreigners, so like F.W. Ellis and Robert Caldwell, so they established the antiquity of Tamil. Then apart from that, so we also discussed about some of the Tamil scholars. So like V.G. Suryanarayana Sastri, Paridimar Kalaignar, then Maraimalai Adigal. So their role in bringing up the Tamil culture. So till now we discussed about so the Tamil relations. So next the rise of the Dravidian movement. So till now the topic we discussed is related with the language. So just they introduced a lot of changes in Tamil language. But now onwards, so we discuss about the social transformation. So how the Dravidian movement, so the non-Brahmin movement helped the people, so to feel pride about their ancient culture. So how the Dravidian movement played an important role in so defending the so socially backward people. So the Dravidian movement emerged as the defense of the non-Brahmins against the Brahmin dominance. An organization called as Madras Non-Brahmin Association was founded in 1909 to help the Brahmin students. So an organization called as Madras Non-Brahmin Association was founded in 1909 to help the non-Brahmin students. In 1912, C. Nadesanar, a medical doctor, founded the Madras United League, later renamed as Madras Dravidian Association to support the Dravidian uplift. So in 1912, a doctor, a medical doctor, so named C. Nadesanar, he founded the Madras United League, and later it was renamed as Madras Dravidian Association to support the Dravidian uplift. So the organization focused on educating and supporting non-Brahmin graduates and conducting regular meetings to share their grievances. So the Madras Dravidian Association so focused on educating and supporting the non-Brahmin graduates and also conduct regular meetings in order to share their problems. Meanwhile, Nadesanar so founded a hostel, so the Dravidian home at Triplicane, so Trivilikeni in Madras in July 1916 to address the lack of hostels for the non-Brahmin students, which so hindered, so which hindered their educational development. So in the year 1916, so he started a hostel, so called as Dravidian home for the non-Brahmin students. So in Madras in Triplicane. So it helped the non-Brahmins So to settle in Madras, to stay in Madras and to continue their education. In addition, the home had a literary society for the benefit of the non-Brahmin students. So in addition, so there was a society, there the home had a literary society for the benefit of non-Brahmin students. Okay students, so today's class we discussed about so the Tamil Renaissance, so the advent of the printing press and some of the people so who contributed their life for the development of Tamil language. So like C.V.W. Damodaran, U.V. Swaminathan and foreigners like Robert Caldwell, F.W. Ellis and Tamil people like Thiruvika, Bharathidasan, Subramania Bharati, Kalyana Sundaranaar, Paridimar Kalaignar, Maraimala Adigal and his work. So Thanithamil Iyakam. So we have learned about these things. And also the rise of the Dravidian movement. So in tomorrow's class we will discuss about the South Indian Liberal Federation and the self-respect movement. So Suyamariyade Iyakam. Okay students, so take your book. So textbook reading. Take page number 116. So read Advent of the Printing Technology. So read it fully. So up to page number 117. Then homework. So take page number 124. So fifth Roman letter. So write second question and third question. So highlight the contribution of Caldwell for the cause of South Indian languages. So take page number 116. So right hand side, you can see the picture of Robert Caldwell now. In that 10th line, Robert Caldwell expanded this argument in a book. So the point, so strike out the word expanded this argument. So just write published. So Robert Caldwell published a book titled A Comparative Grammar of the Dravidian or South Indian Family of Languages in 1856. He established the close affinity between the Dravidian languages in contrast with the Sanskrit and also established the antiquity of Tamil. That is the answer for second question. Then third, list out the personalities who contributed to the revival of Tamil literature through their writings. Take page number 117. So in that fourth line, C.W. Damodaran, U.V. Swaminathan, Thiruvi Kalyana Sundaram, Paridimar Kalaignar, Maraimala Adigal, Subramania Bharati, S. Vayyapuri and the poet Bharathidasan in their own ways and through their writings contributed to the revival of Tamil literature. So just write the name, no need to write the years. Okay students, so if you have any doubt in this class, so please call me. So thank you, have a nice day.